That red card, despite the share of the spoils, will be what's talked about. It changed the game for you, did it?
Totally, yeah. I was at this game and neither team played particularly well, I've got to say. I was expecting more from the game. But there's no doubt Arsenal looked as though they were going to be the team in the second half to go out, extend their lead and go on and win the game. And the sending off changed the game totally.
Let's talk about it a little bit more and look at it closely. This is the first yellow for Declan Rice. Now, teams have been warned, all 20 teams have been warned that this season, the incident that leads to his second yellow, we're showing you his first there, this incident would be a yellow card for this season, delaying a restart. The referee applied that law and he gives him a yellow card. Chris Kavanagh, everyone was briefed about it.
Yeah, but again, it's nonsense, to be honest with you, because there's 60, 70,000 people that watch a game of football. You know, that yellow card, that red card changed the game. Declan's not really that type of player. I know Danny Welbeck is saying, look, it's a second yellow, maybe by the letter of the law. But let's have a little bit of feel for these moments. I don't think that's... The first one's a yellow for sure. I think the second one is incredibly harsh. I don't want to see football games decided by these little technicalities, in my opinion. I would just let the guys on the pitch figure it out. I think it's far more interesting. That's what the fans want to see. That's what they pay the money. That's what the millions across the world want to see. A red card's a red card, I know. But that, for me, just is... I don't want to see that in deciding games.
I'm going to stick with you, Owen, because you mentioned João Pedro and Arteta spoke about consistency. Bukayo Saka, at another point in that interview, also spoke about consistency. And their main gripe is, if Declan gets a yellow for that, surely this is...
Jules, this is amazing. He kicks his 50 yards, and there's nothing given. And again, the point is, even Ødegaard saying as captain, look, you know, that's going to be a yellow card. And again, they make a great point. Saka, Arteta, if you're going to do it, you've got to be consistent. If you're not going to give that, then you shouldn't give the Declan Rice one. I can completely understand them.
So 100% records for both of them coming into this one. We knew one or both would go. They both did. Arsenal got the opening goal. And then, as you mentioned, that red card changing things, because shortly after, Brighton equalised.
Yeah, they did. As I say, Brighton come into the game at that stage. I think Mikel made a substitution, almost went to 5 at the back, you know, and I don't think that helped the team, if I'm being quite honest with you. Great through ball between the centre-halves. Centre-halves will be really, really disappointed that they've been bisected as they have. But what you've got to say as well, when you see the recovery, I think it's Saliba, the left-sided centre-half, has almost pulled away expecting his partner to win a challenge. He hasn't done that. You know, Saliba's pulled away slightly, and a good follow-up, I've got to say, and he's put it in the back of the net. And from that moment on, it was near enough all Brighton, apart from 2 counter-attacks from Arsenal. Yeah,
and those counter-attacks, Kai Havertz scored the opening goal, had an opportunity to win the game.
Yeah, it's a big moment, and I think Kai's been amazing as a centre-forward for Arsenal. The one thing, maybe the last thing maybe missing is kind of that finishing maybe in those moments. His first touch is brilliant to kind of bring the ball down. But if he can start finishing some of these chances, then he'd be one of the best strikers in the Premier League.
A great start from Brighton, I suppose, going to Arsenal and getting that point after winning the opening 2 games. But will they feel, given that they had a one-man advantage, it's 2 points dropped?
I think they will. I think they've got a manager that will look at the whole picture, though. You know, his team were probably outplayed in the first half, and the sending off has got them back into the game. They've taken 7 out of 9 points. They've played 2 away games. They've played Manchester United at home. They'll be absolutely delighted going into the international break with that points tally.
Well,
after the highs of last night's dramatic transfer of Raheem Sterling, the optimism that came with it, Arsenal hit a bump in the road with that home draw against Brighton as their winning start to the season comes to an end. A game that clearly turned on that second yellow for Declan Rice. Ian, how do you reflect on that game after 90 minutes?
Well, I think after the first half, you have to say Arsenal were very much in control. You can hear Andy Townsend was saying how disappointed he was with Brighton in the first half, but obviously Arsenal should have scored a couple more maybe in the first half. But in the second half, after the sending off, Brighton made some very good substitutions because they've got the players to do it. And they went for the game. And I think that Arsenal now, especially see the fans booing at the end there, obviously disappointed with the referee, that is a good point now. That's a good point. Listen, Declan will look back at that, and I'm sure that Declan will be the first one. We know what he's about. He'll probably apologise for that, but it changed the game. It turned the game.
Can you understand the fans' frustrations there, clearly because of the red card?
I think it's. I think that when you watch that game, you probably They're not happy with the referee. That's what it is.
But was it the right call for you?
I think that the referee probably made all the right calls because he went by the book with the calls that he made. I think that Arsenal fans are probably thinking not a lot went in our way, the way he refereed the game. But at the same time, you know, the first half for me was the one where maybe you realise now where you've got to take advantage of these situations.
Yeah, I just think potentially that's why the fans are booing maybe, because I don't think they've maybe seen the little touch from Declan when he kind of being a bit cheeky, kicking the ball away. And
because at first they thought he was the one that was fouled.
Exactly, I thought it when I first seen it. So maybe it's one of those. But I think on the whole, yes, Arsenal weren't at their best in that second half, and the red card probably changed it. But in those type of scenarios, the most important thing is you don't get beat. You still leave the Emirates with something. They've managed to do that. They weathered the storm. I still think Brighton didn't take maybe full advantage of the fact they went. It was 11 versus 10. Didn't really create enough opportunities. But for Arsenal, I'd say it's a point gained.
Point apiece then, in the end, between two sides who see their 100% starts to the season come to an end. So that draw at the Emirates kicks off what is a busy 7-game Saturday. Ivan Toney's at the G-Tech, by the way, despite sealing his £40 million move to the Middle East. Brentford taking on a so far pointless Southampton. Everton similarly losing their first 2 games of the season. They face Bournemouth. Ipswich at home to Fulham. Winless Leicester hosts Villa in what is a Midlands derby in our feature match on Goal Rush. Elsewhere, Nuno Espirito Santo welcomes former club Wolves to the City ground. And the late game sees West Ham up against the defending champions Manchester City. 3 games on Sunday, Chelsea Palace, Newcastle Tottenham. And that huge fixture at Old Trafford between Manchester United and Liverpool. As a result of that point in North London for both sides at the Emirates, Brighton go top on goals scored ahead of Arsenal. Manchester City, though, can end the day at the summit. They go to West Ham, as I mentioned. Later on today, Liverpool go to United tomorrow.
Well, that's what all the talk's about, isn't it? The second yellow card for Declan Rice. We forgot the first one, but that probably was.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a huge game because Arsenal were quite comfortable at that point. This is a yellow, I think we all agree. Late, just catches him, same 2 players again. And then here, when it starts, kind of all a bit, well, what's going on, who's done what? Initially, I thought that, you know, he's just lashed out and kicked Declan Rice, and then when you see it, he's making out that he kicked him because he's trying to clear the ball. I don't quite believe that.
No, nor do I, because the ball's rolling as well, so you can't take a free kick when the ball is rolling.
But let's deal with Declan Rice's second yellow. It's the letter of the law, it's a second booking. He's kicked it out of play. He's given the referee no choice, and the referee makes the decision.
I think this is another classic example where football has lost its mind.
Right.
For people getting a red card
for that.
For flicking a ball about 12 inches. Second yellow, which still means it goes off.
Well, this is the inconsistency one. Now, you and I both know, well, we all know, he's booted the ball away and he already knows how to play. It's a yellow card. What the officials would say, that there's no whistle, the player benefit the doubt because he could have been trying to keep it in play, whatever. The fact is, that's a yellow, and that's where the anger comes because it's inconsistent. I think Declan deserved the second yellow, unlike him.
He deserved it technically, but you could see Chris Kavanagh giving him the yellow card. He knew he was technically... He needed to give that, but
he did.
In the back of his mind, you could see, I don't want to give this yellow, but the rules are rules.
Veltman's very lucky, by the way. He could have been sent off for that.
Yeah.
That wasn't him taking a free kick. Let's get that clear.
Absolutely. OK, well, the points dropped at home. How will they reflect on that?
I think when they wake up in the morning, they'll be really pleased with how they performed for 40 minutes against a good Brighton side. Defended really well, put their bodies on the line, looked fit, looked sharp, broke away, and could have had 2 really good chances. He'll be proud of the team.
Yeah, but it must be a frustrating way to finish.
Yeah, definitely. I think when we went 1-0 up, we had a good bit of momentum in the game, especially the first 15 minutes. To go 1-0 up was obviously really good, and we wanted to build on that in the second half. And obviously a decision which obviously changed the flow of the game. Yeah, it was tough, but yeah, the lads done amazingly well, obviously in the second half to dig it out, you know, to fight with our fans, and in the end, that's obviously a really good point against the team that are in really good form at the minute.
Yeah. So how did you see that decision? What did the referee say to you at the time? Could you understand what was going on?
Yeah, I was shocked. I think you could see in my face I was shocked. He's obviously gone over. I've not sprinted back in front of him and smashed the ball away. You know, I've touched the ball with the outside of my foot. But look, this is the laws of the game. You know, if you touch the ball even a little bit, obviously it's a red card after my challenge in the first half, which I fully accept, a 50-50 that I didn't win. But the second half one, especially with it being in the corner flag, you know, they can't really progress from anywhere there. So look, it was tough, it was harsh. But it's one of them things, you know, I have to move on from it. I'll be better for it, and I can only really praise the players, to be honest with you, for digging deep for me, and you know, the manager for pushing everyone, and the fans as well, who were unbelievable again this afternoon. So yeah, that's how I see it.
Yeah, so what did you make of the reaction? As you mentioned there, not just the players, but the supporters and the atmosphere inside the stadium. And we could have won it as well, a couple of chances near the end.
Yeah, I was obviously watching the game from inside, and you know, was up off my seat when them big two chances come. Obviously had David as well, who made another big save for us. But them two big chances, you know, on another day maybe they go in, but to even generate them chances from where we were, you know, on the edge of our box, to then be at the other end of the pitch, shows the desire of the boys. And yeah, look, 1-1 in the end. Obviously, it's not ideal because we want to win every game. That's what we strive for. That's what we believe we can do. But when you take the context out of it, you know, 10 men for 50 minutes, you know, in the end, I think that's a really strong point. And you know, we'll keep battling and fighting. You know, it's only been 3 weeks since the start of the season, and yeah, we're going to keep going in the right direction.
Reading of the second yellow for Declan.
I was amazed because in the first half, when the opponents did that, he didn't get any booking, and he makes the call by law in a non-critical area on the pitch after the ball hitting his heel and turning around to make that decision. But by law, he can do it. Then be consistent, and as well, if that's the case, then you have to send Bellman off because it's a red card, and then we play 10 against 10.
I think he kicked it away a bit, so I kicked him instead of the ball. But he was clearly saying, I didn't kick the ball, I didn't kick the ball. So I need to see it back, though, to have a clear opinion about it. But my feeling, he kicked it away, and the rule's saying it's a second yellow, yeah.
For me, he shoots the ball away, so it's a clear yellow card. Of course, it changes the momentum of the game. Yeah, in the end, again, we wanted to win here. We didn't do it, so we have to be satisfied with the draw.
I thought it was a bit harsh, you know, for us. We just want some consistency, you know. In the first half, João Pedro's booted the ball with his left foot half the way across the pitch, and he's got absolutely nothing for it. And Deck does the slightest touch, and he's sent off. So, yeah, for me, it's a bit harsh, but it is what it is. I don't want to put the whole game on the referee. You know, we still had chances to win the game.